What was public perception of Donald Trump like before he was president? What was he known for before he was the president? What was news about him like? Years ago, I'd say he was seen as a wealthy, colorful New York character of dubious reputation who made sure to get his name and photo in newspapers and magazines regularly. Cult of personality. The man has been in people's living rooms since the 80s. The image of wealth. Cell phone in a car. Golden toilet. Empty vanity. Edit incomplete. I mainly knew him as a cautionary tale from business school. He inherited a massive fortune. Used that money to start a business and 99 of the business failed. His bad business decisions and management are case studies on what not to do in business school. On the top of my head, the fail of Trump University. Trump Steaks. Trump Sprinter, I think the airline. Several Trump casinos. Several real estate deals that are known as the worst real estate deals known to mankind, etc. I'm Gen X, so I've known this guy since the 80s. I've always thought of him as a blowhard moron. Buffoon. Caricature of a rich person and attention whore. The Apprentice resurrected his career and allowed him to define himself as a business tycoon. He was not to the kinds of people who consume large quantities of reality television game shows. Just been disliked for years before he was elected. He was known as a con man. Somebody not to work for because he wouldn't pay you. D-list celebrity. Con man, buffoon, douchebag, Biff Tannen from Back to the Future 3, etc. I said that he represented everything that the world considered obnoxious about Americans. In the 80s, he used to be mocked on the regular in Spy magazine. They called him the short-fingered vulgarian. In Manhattan he was seen as a braggart and mendacious asshole. Hasn't changed. Spy magazine called him the short-fingered vulgarian. He was known for being a lousy businessman that had a business-themed game show and wanted to hang innocent black men. At least that's how he was known in NYC. To New Yorkers. A joke. A complete bozo. Colossal business failure. An embarrassment to NYC. Edited TBF. In the 80s there was some fascination with him, although he was still seen as trashy. But by the 90s, a joke. Literally a punchline. You can see it in books, movies, late-night monologues from the time. Everyone on NY City hated him near as I can tell. It's really embarrassing when you lose your own district while running for president. In the 80s he was tabloid fodder. Because he cheated on all his wives and did a lot of bragging. The ridiculous gold-plated toilet decorating style and ostentatious displays were looked at as tacky then too. I thought he was a loud-mouthed fraud and despicable person even then. I lived on Long Island for a few years around 05-08 and worked in the trades. He was known to rip off smaller independent contractors, often paying around 50 of the invoice and telling them to go to court knowing that would end up costing more money. They think they scored an incredible opportunity and then get screwed. Heard it so many times, primarily from electricians and plumbers. I was a painter and never worked in the city, so I have no first-hand experience. But I've heard that at least 12 times from different people before he was political at all. I'd imagine most of those idiots ended up voting for him. I grew up in the 80s and remember seeing him on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And even as a kid I thought he was a ridiculous person. A ridiculous blowhard who wanted to look rich. In the 90s, early 2000s when he went on The Apprentice, I thought he was pretty funny and entertaining. I remember him doing wrestling stuff. He was just an entertainer to me at that point. After that he flew off my radar. I remember that he was a Democrat who had the Clintons at his wedding. In 2014-2015, when he started his presidential campaign, I thought he was a ridiculous and offensive, but not dangerous. Boy, was I wrong about that. A New Yorker here. He was a loser creep that no one knows how he makes any money. Everything he touches dies, or end up in court. The better question is, what was his perception before The Apprentice? Back then, many in the tri-state area knew him as a failure. Casinos, airlines, etc., all led to possibly the largest individual bankruptcy in U.S. history. On The Golden Girls on the early 90s, Dorothy calls Merv Griffin the Ani Trump. Trump was always seen as the embodiment of tasteless, classless, racist, womanizing, evil, spoiled, selfishness. Always. He inherited his money, pissed most of it away, didn't pay most of his bills or vendors, and always wanted to be more famous than he was. We was never seen as a serious man. He was always a clown. It's terrifying that he was elected president. A guy that somehow managed to run multiple casinos into the ground. He's always been a joke to intelligent people. I thought he was a 100-year-old shitbag who was the poster boy for date-rape 80s Ponzi schemes, crony capitalism, and Nepo babies. He has been a tabloid con artist since the 80s. He was an asshole then also. He was just a conman back then. A buffoon. I don't live in the US anymore, but still have a vague idea who the Kardashians are. I rarely think of them, but when I do, it's kind of a group of rich, superficial seeming people I would rather not spend time with and am generally not curious about. Trump was basically that to me, but with silly hair, a few businesses that didn't seem to do well, and gaudy taste. Filthy rich douchebag with stupid FC King hair. Fake wealthy, but not as much as he acted like. Fake business genius. He bankrupted casinos in Atlantic City. For fuck's sake. Angry bigot took a full-page ad demanding execution of the Central Park Five. Obama birther conspiracy BS. He and his father getting fined for refusing to rent property to minorities, etc. Basically, he's always been a big asshole. He's just been getting worse as he gets older. Before 2015, Trump was a C-tier celeb, only really notable in NYC as a conspicuous gilded asshole. A sort of court jester of the wealthy. An anachronism of success and power. Outside of NYC, he was honestly not on the forefront of anyone's mind outside of reality TV fans. One of the lesser villains who barged his way into the world stage at any and all costs. He was a tabloid tycoon, involved in NYC real estate, which is notoriously shady and cutthroat, and lived a pretty playboy lifestyle. Had a massive ego and loved to put his name on everything. Rich, narcissistic, out-of-touch douchebag. He usually made the news for being sued for not paying vendors or for refusing to rent to black people or for having a casino go out of business or for wanting black people accused of a crime executed even when their innocence was proven. Attention-seeking clown face. He's been well known as a con artist and scum since the 90s. Reading the comments after I posted, I like how everyone is talking about him in the past tense. A sleazy NYC real estate entrepreneur and celebrity with a big mouth. A lying, loudmouth, racist, conniving, ignorant, raving, asshole crook who bankrupted multiple businesses while leaving a trail of unpaid debts. Who treats women like shit. And who always thinks he is the smartest man in the room and must be the center of attention. And if he doesn't get his way, he acts like a 2-year-old toddler throwing a tantrum in the grocery store aisle.